What's up, guys? Mike the Cop and Dave. He Big Daddy D. Real quick, before we dive into the whole Kavanaugh thing, this is an abnormal episode for us, but we hope that you enjoy us sort of like giving our honest thoughts about the whole Ford Kavanaugh appointment controversy, hearings, pseudo trial, whatever this is circus is happening. We're gonna give some thoughts and color in.
We're going to color
by the numbers.
We're going to color a coloring book of politics and allegations.
We hope you enjoy. Check out our normal show.
We're even basically going live on this. We're going live.
Yeah, we're covering up breaking news, and it's going up today. Support our main partner, please. Black Rifle Coffee. If you support veterans and veteran-owned businesses, they support law enforcement, which is awesome for us. BlackRifleCoffee.com and use the code ThinBlueLine to try them for 20% off. Amazing stuff, and we commend this company to you. That's it. Let's dive in. Record your face. All right, Kavanaugh.
Yes, Kavanaugh. This is
we're trying to cram in literally a Kavanaugh special.
Sorry.
Is it worth it? Is it worth our time?
I think so.
All right,
this is big news, man.
Lay it on me.
Well, okay.
Lay it on me, Big Daddy.
Well, think about this.
I was trying to plug your Instagram.
I appreciate that.
He Big Daddy D.
Yeah. He Big Daddy D.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why I don't say that more often.
I don't know.
Lay it on me, Big Daddy. I don't know why.
I think
it just rolls off the tongue. To be honest with you,
it does.
And it feels right saying it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to beg my wife to call me that at home.
Yeah, shouldn't
be that
way.
It shouldn't be that way.
No.
It should come naturally.
The world is upside down.
It is.
Your wife won't call you Big Daddy.
It's like, yeah. Here, wait.
Kavanaugh's on trial for accusations. Not on trial though. This is the problem. We gotta watch our terminology here.
No, we do.
Because I just use trial in the expression
I need to restart
sense.
the recording.
Give me a second.
So, okay, here we are. Big news today. Yesterday, I should say.
I don't know what we said in our first recording.
It doesn't matter because this is how it goes now, right? This is our life now, right? So a big deal yesterday, the Kavanaugh hearing, right? So we actually were already. Our timing was perfect because we were going to be doing a podcast anyway. So this is actually going to work out quite well as long as we're recording. So, the big thing is...
I think we need to ask every 5 minutes or so just to make sure.
Just like the committee.
I mean, everybody listening heard or will have when they fall in love with us after this episode.
Oh, they'll fall in love.
Then they go back to the most recent one and they'll be like, "What is wrong with the audio?" Well, we have to explain that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Awkward. So, this was a big event, and I was
talking about how we were glued.
Yeah, I was
to it.
I was completely glued to this thing. Now, I worked the night before, got off, and this had started coming on TV. I'm like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Like, I have to watch this, and I watched it as long as I could. I was dying. Matter of fact, I went from like watching it like on the couch to like watching it in bed to like I'm on, and I just like kind of died off. But what we have is here now. I think they're silly anyway. To be quite honest, I think these hearings or whatever you want to actually call them are a little bit on the silly side. They're more. It's a dog and pony show. So
do you think it's always been that way? Do you think all these Senate committee hearings are always that, or has there been value to them? Is there value to them?
I think there could be value to them. I think that yesterday okay, I can't say that there's absolutely no value, but I can tell you that there's portions of it that hold no value. Now, this was one of the cases where, again, Kavanaugh is not on trial, right? This is not a criminal proceeding, so that's why things have to be like loosely pieced together, right? This is not a court of law. It doesn't go by certain. It goes by certain procedures and policies and all that, but they're certainly not of the criminal matter. Mm-hmm. So, the first person who was able to speak was Dr. Ford, right? Dr. Christine Ford, who had made allegations that when they were in high school, that there was a sexual assault that took place. Okay, if you haven't heard about this, you've had your head buried in the sand for a while, but that's okay too, right? And so you have Kavanugh, who is he is a very well respected judge. Federal judge.
He's on a federal appellate court, the second highest court in the land, essentially. Like, it's the last step before you get to the Supreme Court. Like, literally, like
there's the only step up from there.
Right.
And so, and then the only step up from the Supreme Court is God's court.
That's right.
So here we are, again, it's not a trial, but in a weird way, it kind of is, right? And
it has that same vibe to it.
Without a matter of fact, it's even, I would consider it even more intimidating than that, because it's in front of millions of people.
Oh yeah,
you're
basically in front of the nation, and obviously, like, you're not just going to a local courthouse. You're going to the Senate.
Yeah, you're going to literally to the Senate, where senators, some who have sat in those chairs for decades, as we know, which is an absolute joke.
As I was watching that yesterday, there's so many times I was like, this guy or this girl needs to just hang it up.
Well,
already
part of that bothered me, because when they say I sat here 27 years ago, or I've been here for 44 years, I'm like, you're not doing yourself any favor. You're not. That doesn't make you better to me. You're not endearing
yourself to me.
Yeah, you're just making yourself sound ancient. And,
so you've been
foolish.
Doing this nonsense for 40-some years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. So what we have is a hearing. It's not really fact finding. It's just to kind of get stories out there. So Dr. Christine Ford talked first, and let's go back a little bit. This one was where they actually hired a prosecutor to do some questioning.
Yeah. And so where I was talking before was I think the reasoning is good, right? In terms of, now, neither you nor I will be able to know for certain one way or the other if the Republican part of this committee decided to just bring in Mitchell for optics, or whether or not there was a sincerity in terms of being able to really get at the heart of Ford as a victim, right? So Mitchell, this special prosecutor, is her specialty is in sexual assault cases.
Right.
So they bring her in, and they basically all agree ahead of time to yield their 5-minute time to Mitchell to ask questions. The problem became almost instantaneously. The first time they were cut off, the committee chair, one of those guys, he's on the Republican side actually, but he was one of the most annoying people to me yesterday, how he led the meeting. And he came off...
It was strange,
He came off as odd and curmudgeon-like, and it was just... So he cuts her off in the middle of an answer, and then I'm like, why are they cutting her off? Why are they doing this? It's just that she was just starting to ask questions. Well, it's the 5-minute rule, right? They have these time constraints in the hearings to keep it fair and to force people to not grandstand and talk and
filibuster and
right.
blah, blah,
So
blah.
they're going back and forth under these time constraints, which I understand as a process. But when you're talking about a sexual assault victim, okay, giving her the benefit of the doubt, right? This is like giving Ford the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to communicate with her, not as someone who's making false allegations, but let's give the assumption that she believes that she was sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to treat her like that, and the way that you would ask the questions, the way that you would probe, is given that assumption,
right?
But Mitchell, didn't have a chance to ever really develop a line of questioning or a rapport with Ford to be able to actually do what she is actually trained to do.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, and we could actually start there. So this whole thing was a little bit odd for me. So you have a prosecutor who's, like you said, they specialize in sexual assault. Well, the idea of a prosecutor is fact-finding, right? Which is kind of counter to the hearings, right? The hearings is to get stories out there, not really it's not a trial. Yet there's a prosecutor there to actually ask the questions that are, you know what I mean? It's just a weird process. But so a prosecutor or any attorney, their main job, okay, so kind of if you've ever been on the stand, what happens is they ask you a series of questions. Now, 5 minutes at a time, again, for a sexual assault, a criminal case, Dr. Ford could have been on the stand had she decided to be on the stand, right, just like Kavanaugh, for an hour and a half,
sure,
with no problem.
Oh, yeah.
So to give a prosecutor 5 minutes at a time to try to do what she needs to do is actually pretty laughable, especially if she keeps getting cut off, because you can never really make a point. So in the beginning, what you saw was, and I think that the Republicans or a lot of conservatives out there would probably have argued that she was being soft, she was softballing. First of all, we're talking about Dr. Ford, who considers herself a victim. And so you can't just go, you shouldn't at the beginning just go in there and start trying to tear her apart. I think that's pretty ridiculous. Again, she's not on trial. She's just trying to get her story out there.
Right.
But with that, keep in mind that generally a lawyer, what they will do first is ask those questions. They ask a ton of questions regarding documentation to solidify, clarify the things that the individual had said on either side.
You have to frame in the facts.
Yes.
Who are you? When did this? Where were you? Like, they have to.
Did
they
you
have
write
to frame
this?
in.
Is this what you wrote?
Right.
Is this what you meant when you wrote that? They like you said, frame.
Yeah, she was
things
given
in.
her time. Is there any errors in this? Is there anything that you would change about this?
Yeah.
And she was reviewing things that she had written. And go, yeah, I would say that I would change this. This isn't like. Okay, why?
And and this could be a 20-minute process very easily, trying to just solidify what an individual said, what they meant when they said it, that kind of thing. But that's all you see are these 5-minute increments of that. And so she was never actually able to actually start asking questions. And again, it's really, what's her job? It's not to just have her just tell the story. Mitchell's job is to essentially start tearing down a story or trying to figure out what the actual truth is, right? So if there's inconsistencies, it would be her job, because after she's solidified the information she's been given by either the victim or the defendant, okay, well then what about this, right? And it just never really quite culminated. It just was always just kind of flat, you know what I mean? And so they ended up pulling her anyway. And I think that was a good idea, because it just wasn't doing any good. And matter of fact, because they wouldn't give her the time, again, this was part of the joke to me. What they would do is they would cut to a senator who immediately would be like, you're very brave.
Well, that was right. Well, that was because Mitchell was getting the Republican time.
Yes.
Any other senators that were speaking were Democrats.
Yes.
So it was very. Boy, were party lines not so extremely obvious?
Oh, right.
Here?
Absolutely.
I mean, like that exactly. Like, you go back to a Democratic senator who then just there was no questioning of her. There was no
nothing,
no challenging, no probing, no anything of let's get to the bottom of what this woman says. It was already blanketly accepted that if she makes the claim, it's got to be true.
So much so that the prosecutor...
And then congratulate her for that.
Right. So much so that the prosecutor didn't even have her go over the things that happened in the bedroom that night.
Right.
The actual cause for her alleged PTSD.
Well, she talked about
the things that she's
hand covering the face and...
Yes. Okay. That's not a sexual assault. That's what I'm saying. Like, so there has to. So the public, we never heard at a Senate committee hearing what the actual allegations were about. We talked about the victim portion of that, where she remembers very specific things, and I think that could very well be the case too. Is that there are some things that you remember, some things that you do not remember, and she was. I thought that she was consistent in some of the things, most of the things that she said, and I'm not denying that she was a victim of sexual assault at all. Matter of fact, I mean, she seemed like she was very credible
Yeah,
actually.
she came off extremely credible.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, very good-natured. I think the one thing that I thought caught was a really strange event was that she said that she experiences a fear of closed spaces because of that, and yet and said that that's why she has a great fear of flying. But it was unusual because that's when, again, I think the prosecutor did do a good job, was saying, well, then didn't you just, how did you get here? Like, she's like, well, the airplane. Okay. Well, how did you get to the thing last week? Airplane. She said, well, as a matter of fact, you fly all the time. Like, this lady flies more than you, Mike, and not just to short places, like all over.
Right, she's gone on vacations to different places.
Yeah, so I just thought that was a little bit interesting because my aunt, when we talk about a fear of travel, her fear of traveling is so great that drugs will not work on her. She could not travel to our family reunion, which was about an hour and a half away, because of certain anxieties that she has. That to me, so I see when somebody says they have a fear of traveling or a fear of, the amount of anxiety is so great that, like, to say that I'm afraid of flying because of this, and yet I fly all the time, it seems off to me. Now, again, I'm not taking away her credibility. Like I said, I thought she was very credible in a lot of the things that she said. But
part of the problem with this whole thing, the entire thing, is that there is an accusation of crimes that, to this day, is still unreported to law enforcement.
Right.
So, I mean, this is the baffling part to me. How and why are we circumventing the very system that we have chosen to deal with criminal activity? We don't hash out sexual assault crimes in a Senate hearing.
Right.
Later on, right? Like, if at some point this is investigated and it is determined that it was valid or invalid, whether there was probable cause to charge Kavanaugh or not, then what would happen is, in the Senate hearing, you would then say, this was investigated. Like, then maybe it's admissible or not admissible as far as a Senate hearing goes. But even though everyone's saying this isn't a trial, they're conducting a pseudo. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, guess what, folks?
Yeah.
I mean, is it technically a trial? No. But what did they do?
It's not a criminal trial, but it's a trial.
They brought in a prosecutor,
Yeah.
and who's questioning her, and then you've got another side that's acting as a defense.
Yeah.
When both sides have the opportunity and cause for doing their job as senators, which is to inquire,
Right.
To advise and consent, right? That is the scope and purpose of this committee, as far as determining whether or not to pass Kavanaugh. And for people that don't understand this committee doesn't choose Kavanaugh.
No.
Okay. So a lot of people are under the impression that this vote, like that's going to be happening today, is a vote whether or not to make
Move it
him
on.
the Supreme Court.
I pulled up the live feed of it.
Yeah.
Because it's just getting started.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and people even in this, I've been watching some comments on this live stream. People in here, it's funny to me because they're commenting on their take on the situation, but they don't even have the basic understanding of how this works, which means their opinion to me is a little rocky.
Right.
Somebody
Because-
commented, senior shuttle with all these people.
Yeah, because this is the committee will pass him on
Hey,
for a vote
Can you put your hand
Right.
down?
in the Senate.
You're blocking cameras here.
I'm sorry. The committee will pass him on for the actual vote.
Yeah.
for
This isn't to
confirmation.
confirm him.
This isn't the confirmation vote. So anyway, so the whole thing is just it's sad to see, because rather than actually ask probative questions of value yesterday, it became one side was completely Kavanaugh, one side was completely Ford, and they just sort of like bounced that ball back and forth over the net. And there was these moments of clarity that sort of like shone through. And
just moments though, and that was the problem. Is that
and the rest was just like almost entertainment value. You're glued to it. But
I love these comments. Black Ops 4 coming in a few weeks, and then somebody says there should be an age limit on senators because they're all old farts.
Well, so we when we talk more about Dr. Ford, I think it's interesting to. It's important to note that, again, this was not a trial. They were just trying to get her story out there. What I found very interesting is that, so she had made the accusations that she had made came about, and in the end, so she had contacted two sources, right? Her local representative.
Yep.
Was it? I forgot what it starts with an E, but
I can't remember.
Emrys or something. I forgot what it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So,
but that is true. She contacted her local
office,
congressman. Yeah,
and also a news source. Now, neither got back to her.
Oh, it's that audio.
Yeah, neither got back to her. Then they eventually ended up. I think she did it again. They got back to her, and she ended up getting in touch with Feinstein. So. There was meetings and all that, so she ends up getting an attorney, yada, 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 right? What I thought was very interesting was that there was a question of Feinstein of, well, then why did you hold the vote?
I turned it off. I just had to get it set for me.
Okay.
So why, like, you knew about this, but you said nothing. And I think that's a very legitimate gripe for anybody.
I absolutely. That was like this... It was, to me, it was this elephant in a room that sometimes got addressed, but never, like, you would have, like, Lindsey Graham, who addresses this fact.
Yeah.
And then, because you get the 5-minute cutoff, then it just goes back.
Well,
and then all of a sudden, like, it's forgotten.
Well, Feinstein did know, she did make a comment off her 5 minutes, and I thought she did make a good point. My problem is this, and let it be known, people, that I am generally a conservative, but I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. So she had made it brought out that she had been holding on to this information, which again I think is very strange. She said that the reason she did it was because she was asked to do it by Dr. Ford. Which, again, to me is a little bit strange because she said, I was told that she wanted that to be confidential, that she didn't want it to get out. But my question is, then why did Dr. Ford go through all the trouble of telling her story, letting her information out, but then stop it and say, but I don't want this to get out any further. And then there was a leak. And so...
Well, I think that her mindset from yesterday was basically saying, well, if she could stop him from getting the appointment, like, she wanted them to be aware, right? Like, maybe this will help them make their decision, but she didn't want to be involved in it, like...
Yeah,
kind of a thing,
but there was no way that was ever going to be avoided, and that's why I was wondering why Dr. Ford would have said to Feinstein, let's keep it confidential, because she went there in the first place. So there's some expectation that at some point that it's going to get out.
Feinstein would have known,
well,
that you can't keep this
from
and people.
Miraculously, it got leaked shortly after. And I know that the Republicans wanted to, because they directly asked her, well, did you leak it? And no, I didn't leak it. And then she's like, goes to her like aides, and they're like, oh, I didn't leak it. And then I'm thinking, was it your Chinese driver that leaked it? I know they wanted to be like, well, you don't have a very good track record, just so you know. I personally, and I know this is maybe very unpopular with a lot of overly sensitive people in this regard, but I think when Feinstein heard this information, the second she got off the phone with Dr. Ford, she said, we got him. I actually think that she was so excited about this information, we got him. And I just personally think that, and I actually think that Graham, who I have no respect for, said it best, that they knew, and she could not wait to get this information out. And that she was that Dr. Ford is also a victim of this. I actually believe that.
I think she's been used.
Absolutely.
She's being used as a tool.
Yeah, and I think that that's not fair to somebody who's been a victim of a sexual assault. If this is true, she is a victim of a sexual assault. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. And if it's by Kavanaugh, then he ought to be in prison anyway, or have at least done the time. But again, there's been no criminal investigation whatsoever. As a matter of fact, she's never named Kavanaugh in anything, which is what's so unusual to me.
This is the big thing. Now, here's the issue. People are saying you and I have no right to have an opinion on this because we've never been the victim of sexual assault. So we have no right to question how she came forward or when she tells people.
Apparently nobody does. Nobody
can
tells speak
people.
On the subject.
I find that I reject that on its face by matter of principle. Because the principle behind that is unless you have been through something, you cannot possibly have an opinion on it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I think that is, I think when someone takes a step back logically and removes emotion from it, because obviously the closer you are to Ford, the more of a major impact this is going to have emotionally on you. Like
and it should.
This live stream when we started had about 1,000. Now it's at 11,000.
Yeah,
and just climbing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So.
Press
we're
for
very
Boogie.
distant from the immediate emotional impact. You and I can look at this and not really feel like,
I'm not
we can
either
be
way.
empathetic toward Ford or Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. We're gonna get up from here and go to lunch or whatever it is, and we don't have the same emotional impact.
My day will not be affected either way. As a matter of fact, I don't think Kavanaugh. I think Kavanaugh's too soft as a judge anyway. Like I wouldn't, if he wasn't confirmed, I'd be like, okay, good. Because I never thought much of him anyway. But that has nothing to do with what's going on.
That's it. Like a lot, and so again, it's so hard to communicate these things because everybody picks their sides, and then so like if you're defending Kavanaugh in this, as it were, on principle, then you automatically support sexual abuse. You automatically support the status quo of white men in power. You automatically support Kavanaugh and every decision he's ever made as a judge. Like, no. You've got to stop for a second, people. Just stop for a second. Because it's, to me, as much as if whatever victimization has occurred to or with Ford, I do not condone it. And to whatever degree Kavanaugh has been dragged through the mud needlessly or falsely accused or held up in his appointment, I don't condone that either. What my biggest problem with all of this is just that we are the irony of we're working at appointing someone to the highest court in the land by circumventing the very principles that make that court strong.
Absolutely.
That is what my problem is. That is what is being lost in all this circus. Kavanaugh called it a circus. I 100% agree.
Absolutely.
And I went back and watched Clarence Thomas last night. He said, my guess, Kavanaugh rewatched all of Clarence Thomas's testimony. Because when you listen to the two of them,
very similar.
Very similar. Now, whether that was strategic or whether it was just honest, and when you're falsely accused of something, that's how you defend yourself, I don't know. But some things never change. It's still a circus. And they're on TV, right? They're everybody's watching. They have these prepared statements. Even Lindsey Graham, again, whom I would have never voted for.
Right.
He had that mic drop moment.
Yeah.
To me, it's grandstanding. It looks good. And how
I agree.
Politics has gone to this point where I don't know what's real, what's authentic anymore, because we have these career politicians whose ultimate goal is to get reelected.
Yeah.
And I can't. It's so hard to distinguish authenticity from acting anymore. I don't know, but what I do know, when I take as far back of a step as I can while remaining educated about what's going on here, what I said is what's at issue for me. The principle of innocent until proven guilty, I think, is a human right principle, in court or out of court. But what we're doing here is we're taking something that should be dealt with on a criminal level, and should be investigated on a criminal level, and giving it to a bunch of senators, some of whom have prosecutorial experience or whatever else. But so it becomes a pseudo trial.
Yeah.
I don't think that's smart. I don't think it's the right way to handle it, and it's driving me up a wall to see it happening that way.
It looks like it's starting.
Yeah. Well, and going back with that, it is starting. But okay, so you have the issue of whether, and again, it does come back down to whether you believe her or whether you believe him, right? I mean, that's really what happens. But like you said, you are in our country, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty.
This is a job interview.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't a trial. This is a job interview.
So Senator Harris, and there was a couple others that had made the point, well then, and telling him, well, who was it that said turn around, turn to your left, and say you want an FBI investigation? Well, I'm going to tell you this. If I was innocent of something, the last thing I would want to do is continue going through a hell, right?
This happened yesterday so many times, dude.
Yeah, which first of all, he doesn't make that decision anyway.
That's what he was saying. He's like, whatever the committee decides is what's going to happen. I've already told you. I've already said I welcome any investigation.
Yeah.
I don't need to say it again. You can decide what happens. Ask the FBI. You're the committee, not me.
Yeah. Well, and on the opposite side of that, people get on Dr. Ford about not showing up, not wanting to come up in front of the Senate. I don't blame her either.
I wouldn't want to.
So again, why? Like we're being very surface regarding the mentality of a human being or how we feel they should be acting. But that's not the case.
What is happening is that culture is adopting Ford or adopting Kavanaugh as not. I don't know what the right word would be. Because it's not an idol, right? They're not.
No.
I don't know what word I'm looking for, and I wish I could think a little bit better on my feet on this.
I think it's more of a principle.
It embodies some preconceived ideologies, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, Ford represents any poor treatment of a female sexual assault victim on behalf of the social justice or the criminal justice system, right? So if anybody has found a lack of care or empathy or follow through on the part of the criminal justice system in the area of sexual assault, then she becomes the champion of this in principle. Regardless of the facts of this case, she then becomes adopted as the poster child for sexual assault. I don't think that Ford has necessarily asked for that. But people just, I think a lot of people on the left-leaning ideology are abusing Ford by taking her and hoisting her up as something she's not asking to be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that a lot of conservatives are doing the same thing with Kavanaugh, hoisting him up and making him out to be something that he's not per se as a person.
Right.
We take our preconceived ideas and then we latch it onto somebody who may or may not truly align with that because we pick these sides.
Right.
But all of that aside, and that's where, like, if I say anything, I'm really coming to Kavanaugh's defense here, not because I think Kavanaugh is the best SCOTUS choice. I honestly can say I haven't dug in and reviewed all of the short list that the president had picked and come up with my own conclusion as to who I think would be best. I haven't done that. Well, hold on. I haven't done that. But what I'm trying to step back and look at this as a matter of principle. And when I look at, listen, there's only one person between Ford and Kavanaugh that has any corroborating evidence to their side. She says he sexually assaulted me. He says I didn't. only one of the two has any corroborating evidence that backs up their claim, and it's Kavanaugh.
Right.
This is what's available to everyone. All of us have the same information sitting in front of us that we can look at. I'm not claiming that I have all possible information. I'm just saying I have the same information you do sitting in front of us. She can make the claim.
Yeah.
But you can also say aliens came in my room last night and abducted me, and then they have done terrible experiments with me, and then they told me this, that, or the other thing. They told me these 3 things to write in a book, and I wrote this, and prove it didn't happen.
Right.
How can I prove something that you're just saying happened? This is why innocent until proven guilty as a principle is so important, because it stops me from just randomly accusing somebody of something or saying something is true outside of any factual information to support it. This is why witnesses and corroborating evidence is so critical.
Oh, 100%.
To what we do, and to see the committee that is supposed to be appointing someone who embodies that principle at the highest levels of integrity completely ignore that principle. That is what is pissing me off about this.
How are we looking here with this live feed here?
I don't know because I can't listen to it.
Turn it up for a second.
Well, I want to go back because something important just happened.
Yeah,
Everybody was like,
it.
boom.
Yeah.
Judge,
Ugh.
last night,
Can you guys hear it okay?
as
Yeah.
I stated
Grassley.
in my attorney, Barbara Van Gelder,
Gosh, this guy needs new
September
glasses or to
18th,
retire.
2018 letter,
He's retired.
I did
And
not
glasses.
ask to be involved in this matter, nor did anyone ask me to be involved. We've told the committee that
This is
do
live
want
right
to
now. The
comment.
Senate Judiciary
We've gotta-
Committee
we've gotta-
vote on
When I
whether
told the
to move Brett
committee
We have to
that I do
educate
not
people
want to
before we wrap
comment
this up on the
about
FBI.
these events
That's another thing that's
publicly.
pissing me the heck
As
off
a
about people
recovering
demanding the
alcoholic and
FBI's
cancer
investigation.
survivor,
Driving
I
me
have
nuts.
struggled with depression and anxiety. As a result, I avoid public speaking. Brent Kavanaugh and I were friends in high school, but we have not spoken directly in several years. I do not recall the events described
he's
by
reading
Dr. Ford in her
he's reading
testimony
the
before
letter.
the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee
Is this,
today.
but this is the boom
I never
moment,
saw
whatever
Brett
that just
act
happened,
in the
right? So
manner
we
Dr. Ford
The sworn
described.
testimony under
I am
penalty of
knowingly
felony.
submitting this letter under penalty
louder for you guys?
of
This is okay.
felony. Mark Judge, witnessed by Barbara Van Gelder, and he
Wow.
has signed it. Call the
Mr.
roll.
Chairman.
Cannot read for
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond.
Why don't you appoint someone to read your
On the
shit,
motion,
man?
Yes, on the motion, if I may respond. That letter is no substitute for an FBI interview,
I un-
Oh my gosh, it is a
and it is no
substitute.
substitute
Yeah,
for
it is, because
testimony.
that's the only thing that they would do.
Oh my goodness, the FBI would produce nothing different.
Who's speaking?
Mr. Flake. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Tillis. No. Mr. Kennedy. No. Mrs. Feinstein.
Aye.
Mr. Leahy. Aye. Mr. Durbin. Aye. Mr. Whitehouse.
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar. Aye. Mr. Coons.
All the Democrats are saying aye.
Blumenthal.
Aye.
Ms. Hirono.
Aye.
Mr. Booker. Aye. Ms. Harris. Aye. Mr. Chairman.
No.
Mr. Chairman, the votes are 10 yeas, 11 nays.
The motion is defeated. Now I move, as I said I was going to
I don't know
do,
what the motion was
that
for,
we
though.
set the vote to report out Judge Kavanaugh's nomination at 1:30 p.m. today.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Graham.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Mr. Cornyn.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Cruz.
This is our first breaking news ever on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
This means they're going to vote on at 1:30, right?
The motion
Push him
is
through.
to push him through to
Yeah.
vote at 1:30.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Mr. Kennedy. Mrs. Feinstein.
No.
Mr. Leahy.
No, because it violates the customs of this
Okay, next.
committee.
Mr. Durbin.
It violates them.
No.
Mr. Durbin. Mr. Whitehouse.
No.
Ms. Klobuchar. No. Mr. Coons. No. Mr. Blumenthal. No. Ms. Hirono.
What a railroad job. Oh my gosh.
This is silly.
And they were criticizing him for filibustering yesterday?
Yeah, you're right. But this is the problem, right?
I just did a video on Kamala Harris.
Yeah, well. So
They're not answering because this is so unfair, Mr. Chairman.
then it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. The grandstanding that you're talking about, Mike, is
Turn it down a little bit.
They turned up the audio, so hold on.
Okay, motion carried. I'll go to my opening statement now.
Is it too loud still?
No, you can kill it for now.
Yeah.
They
the grandstanding
now
is
they're
absolutely-
refusing to vote.
So now I want to go back real quick because what you said about Graham, I fully agree with. Again, what's the grandstanding is what's so ridiculous. However,
It's a performance.
However, the things that he said had substance, and so
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree.
that was my thing. I agree. So I think that, and as a matter of fact, before people get too crazy here, I believe personally, can we bring up Senator Whitehouse, his when he was talking to Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this guy was actually very well spoken.
Alleged behavior is inconsistent.
Wait, I still have the other live stream going. I gotta stop that.
So this is Mr. Whitehouse, or Senator Whitehouse, I should say, talking, asking. I believe this is the part where he's asking Judge Kavanaugh whether about the yearbook and referring to at the end of the year you do that. There's you get to do an excerpt of your own, and he said a lot of stuff that he's being questioned on now, and I think that they're very legitimately, because yes, it was 35 years ago. However, this crime supposedly happened that long ago.
This was everybody was saying like, oh, now we're gonna get judged on our yearbook from 35 years ago. Like
you should.
I think I agree and I disagree. I do not think. Here's what He makes a great point.
I think he does.
I'll get to it. Yeah. Now, here's I'll let him make his point in a second, but yes and no, right? Yes, because this was the time, and this is the reason he gives.
Exactly.
This was the time that the crime is alleged.
Yes,
this is why we're looking at the yearbook, because this would reflect your mindset and life at that time.
Your character, your
right?
mindset, yes.
But on the other hand, I would not want to be judged as a person right now. I wouldn't want someone to say, "We don't want you to come speak at our event," or "We don't want you to be a police officer now."
When you were 8,
when you were exactly, you did this when you were 19,
right?
So you can't be a police officer right now because you did something wrong then.
Yes, I fully agree.
So,
but the way
that's where, I agree and I disagree with the people. Like everybody's like, on the right is saying like, I can't believe they're pulling out the yearbook. Like, well, they're not just pulling out the yearbook just because that's the only thing they have. They're pulling it out as he explained. So I'll let him.
Yeah,
speak
and
for
I think that he does a very good job of this, because he's trying. Again, it's not necessarily fact finding, but it's information finding. So he's actually asking him about specific things that Kavanaugh that he answers to,
right.
And I think that, again, I thought that Senator Whitehouse actually did a really good job when he actually was talking to Dr. Ford and to Kavanaugh. So I actually kind of respected some of the things that he was saying. Did I agree with them? Some of them I did, some of them I didn't, but that's going to be life in general. So, okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Mr. Kavanaugh, that we are looking at the yearbook is that it is relatively consistent in time with the events at issue here. And because it appears to be your words, is it in fact your words on your yearbook page?
We submitted things to the editors, and I believe they took them. I don't know if they changed things or not, but
you're not aware of any changes, as far as you know.
I'm not aware one way or the other, but I'm not going to sit here and contest that. Have at it if you want to go through my yearbook.
Yeah, I'm actually interested. Lawyers should be working off of common terms and
can you pause it real quick?
Understand the words.
I do. Again, I thought that was very so. Even though Kavanaugh was trying to throw off with, if you want to go through my high school yearbook, kind of thing, and I know he didn't say it exactly like that, but that was kind of how he does it. He basically answered back like, "We will do that because, like you said, it was relative at the time." So, okay, go ahead.
That we're using, I think that's a pretty basic principle among lawyers. Wouldn't you agree?
It is. If you're worried about my yearbook, have at it, Senator.
Let's look at Beach Week Ralph Club biggest contributor. What does the word Ralph mean in that?
That probably refers to throwing up. I'm known to have a weak stomach, and I always have. In fact, the last time I was here, you asked me about having
You don't have to pause. Can you turn it down a little bit because I'll talk through this because this is kind of a long answer.
So I asked about ketchup on spaghetti, but
you didn't. Someone did.
Okay. But again, I think that was
this is well known.
Again,
Anyone who's known
I
me,
love the
like,
way he's
a lot of these people
asking
behind
these
me,
questions. I think that it's
known me my
that it's
whole life.
valid.
No,
I agree with what you said that if you're going to just start judging somebody of something they did 30-some years ago, that's not
so the vomiting
great either. But so I think that he tears it down, he asks the questions, and then Kavanaugh has, and I think Kavanaugh actually answered very well also. So go ahead.
Well, now you want me to turn it back up?
You know it. You got to be on it. If you're going to be our underpaid producer, we have a whole line waiting for us here.
Yeah, we don't need the audio when we're talking.
Okay.
Academically, busted my butt in school.
Yes, we know
Captain
that.
of the
You said
varsity
it.
basketball team.
See, this is where I thought
Yale
Kavanaugh
College.
was weak.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
He deflected. He didn't answer the questions here.
You're absolutely right.
When I got into Yale College,
He's trying to
got
deflect
into Yale
anything
Law
about
School.
drinking.
Yep.
worked my tail off.
And did the word, Ralph, you used in your yearbook
I already
relate to
answered the
alcohol?
question. If you're,
Did it relate to alcohol?
I like
You
beer.
haven't answered that.
I like beer. I don't know if
like
you
beer.
like beer, Senator, or not. What do you like to drink?
Next one is,
Senator, what do you like to drink?
Judge, have you, I don't know if it's
So-
boofed or boofed.
Yeah, I think that's exactly Kavanaugh's sort of like weak moment here. He starts off with, I believe it refers to throwing up, and I have a weak stomach. To
I busted my butt.
Does it refer to alcohol? Senator, I busted my butt. I graduated top of my class. That's not what I asked.
Yeah.
So he just lets him.
And I think he's asking legitimate
He lets
questions
it go
for the time period.
and then says, "So does it refer to alcohol? Like I like beer."
And then he's like, I already said I did.
Didn't ask if you like beer. I just
wait,
asked,
hold on. Let's see if I can get to this point.
Is this a reference of that?
No, go ahead. You could continue talking because I have something for the I like beer thing. This is
Well, this is all pre-recorded, so we can
do whatever
edit
we
it up.
want.
Oh, but it makes my job a lot more difficult.
The fact that I like to drink beer. This little song is more to the point.
All right, cut it off, or we're gonna get flagged.
I can't cut it.
I doubt this is from
No,
like the
him. I'm telling
this
him
is
to cut
from
it
like
off.
the 40s, but I'm talking over it, so I don't think there's gonna be. So,
But yeah, you can hear from this little bit that we're doing because he's being calm.
Yeah,
like,
and-
we're giving credit where credit is due as far as even the other side.
other
as
side.
It were.
Well, again, I don't know what side I actually fall on this. I think that the whole idea of this is a silly, but
I
again,
agree.
it is what it is.
I agree that I don't know that. What was that?
Slap.
Oh, the slap sound. No one will get that joke. That's why you have to be a fan of the
I should
show
give you
to
the
get.
multiple slap on that one, but yeah, you have to be a fan. But
It's so funny.
I think that's where we've already said it. But to be clear, we're not like Kavanaugh. We're not champions for Kavanaugh.
no, absolutely.
But-
I actually don't wish that.
But-
I don't care that he gets confirmed at all. Actually, I would prefer that he didn't.
But the process is still so important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Now the FBI to sort of like, I don't know what other like main points you want to drag out for this special.
Well, the
but the
problem
FBI
that-
is something I definitely want to address.
Give me 1 second then. As far as Senator Whitehouse goes, can you just kind of just fast forward and just go to another part of the clip, like maybe 45 seconds? I'm just trying to see if we can hear, because he's a very eloquent speaker, and I think he actually asked legitimate questions. So go ahead real quick.
What does the word alumnius mean in that context?
I explained that in my opening statement. She was a great friend of ours. Bunch of us
you can
went to
keep
dances
playing it,
with her. She
but you
hung
don't
out
realize
with us as
how
a
long
group.
this actually
the media
is. Like,
circus
I
that
thought, like,
has
when we
been
hit this
generated
clip,
by
that it would
this
be like a
thought
short thing.
and
But you don't realize when
reported
you're sucked
that it
into it how
referred to
long
sex.
that the
It did
answers
not.
go and that kind
Never
of
had
thing
any-
either. So
Yeah, because the senators permitted the 5 minutes. They have like
Yeah.
a little timer on there, so it's like a chess game.
Yeah.
They have
Ching,
to hit it and
ching,
stop
ching,
it, and then
ching.
when he's talking, he hits it again. Then he stops it because he's got to answer. You know?
it's crazy.
And to have her name dragged through this hearing is a joke and really an embarrassment.
Devil's Triangle.
Drinking game.
How's it played?
Three
That's
glasses
some good questions.
in a triangle.
And
You ever played quarters?
no.
Okay, it's a quarters game.
Ann Doherty's.
As you can tell from my calendar,
you
she
can
had
cut
a
it.
party on the 4th of July
cut it,
in
thanks.
the beach in Delaware.
And there are
didn't
like
get to the
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
the
6,
Fs?
7 Fs in front of the
Here
4th
it
of
is.
July. What does
Oh,
that
this is actually
signify, if
funny.
anything?
Yeah.
One of our friends, Squee, when he said the F word,
Oh, Squee.
starting at a young age, had kind of a wind
Squee
up
had a
to
mouth.
the F word. Kind of a and then the word would come out.
Look at the shit.
And when we were 15, we thought that was funny, and it became an inside joke for the how he
4th
would
of
say,
July.
and I won't repeat it here, for the F word.
Referring to Georgetown versus Louisville.
Okay, hold on there. That's so funny because in the comments on the live video we were watching, somebody was like, he's guilty as and it just had a bunch of F's.
I love the he like gives the fist. He's ready to go. He's pumping the F fist.
Oh, Squee.
I just thought that was hilarious, man. So
It's like his life was an 80s movie because only in the 80s would you have a friend that stuttered the F word named Squee.
I said the same thing to the diversity team yesterday. I was like, this guy is the epitome of the 80s. Like
He is.
He
When he
has
said the F word, starting at a young age, had kind of a wind up to the F word.
a wind up.
Kind of a
I want to
like
know
how he-
Squee. I want
I
to
wanna
know.
meet
nods,
Squee.
How he nods his head. He goes like,
I know. I want an FBI investigation right now because I
want
to
Squee
meet
brought-
Squee.
I want Squee
"Can we bring
brought
him
in
on here?"
How cool would it be to land an interview with Squee?
with Squee. This is an exclusive. Yeah, so he's the epitome of an 80s movie. He was a
Interviewing
jock. He drank a lot. He's like the Revenge of the Nerds. You know what I mean? It is, oh my gosh, the Pretty in Pink. I mean, he is the epitome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but on the other side of that, we had, again, we were talking about Graham. So are you able to play the Graham clip for us? Which, again, grandstanding, but he brought up legitimate points.
"So you want to listen to this right now?"
Yeah, we could go to that real quick if you'd like to. This is live, right?
Did you meet with Senator
No,
Oh
this
no.
isn't live.
Yeah. Okay. Then yes, Graham.
Dianne
Yes.
Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already
pause it real
recommended
quick.
a lawyer?
This is Graham is responding to this in the idea of they just got done grilling Kavanaugh about why don't you want an FBI investigation? We should have an FBI investigation. And Graham's this is the spark.
Yeah.
Right? The idea that they're now keep pushing to have the FBI redo a background investigation, reopen the investigation and continue looking at it.
Right.
Because just to be clear, he's already had in his career 6 FBI background investigations, including one before this. There would have been a background investigation conducted by the FBI before these hearings ever start.
Right.
Okay.
To Dr. Ford.
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for.
I think he's legitimately mad.
When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsay said hello, because I voted for them.
Pause it real quick.
I would never do to them what you've done to this guy.
Woo. So two things. One is he did vote for what would people consider non-conservative judges.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
He voted for them. So he's making that clear. Like, listen, I have already voted in the past twice
Yeah.
for candidates that weren't on our side, so to speak, because they were good at their job, according to him. Right. So like, I already did that. And man, I'm like, I lost my other point that I was going to make, and man, I hate that.
Well, what I do find interesting too is that this is. It's just this could very easily have also just been flip-flopped.
Oh,
right?
I know what I was going to say.
Okay, go
Sorry. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's okay for Lindsey Graham to stall an appointment, or the Republicans to stall an appointment before in an open seat.
Right.
Now the Democrats are trying to do it, and all of a sudden they're evil. We're talking about it is. I don't like it. Okay, I'm not saying that I like it, but I'm saying that both sides, for every appointment, try to do this, right? Because they want to appoint someone that is going to lean more their way politically if they can. What's different about this is using someone that's making criminal allegations and dragging them in front of here for the purpose of trying to do it. That's what's making this a different situation.
Well, yeah, but I believe, and it's different, but it's not, because if this was flipped around, I think they would be doing the same thing. But I think that when you come back and look at it, I personally believe that the Democrats are trying to stall this. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well,
It only makes sense, right? But what we're not understanding is, okay, so I actually think that the Democrats believe that they're going to take a seat or two in the Senate to become the majority. I actually don't believe that that's going to happen. I could be wrong because I'm not, I don't know the outcome of a vote, but they ought to be nervous that they actually lose seats as well, because there's, you know what I mean? So they're trying to elongate something in the hopes that they're going to win some seats back and all that. But let's not forget about the absolutely stupid and ridiculous lame duck session until January.
Yeah.
That usually passes a lot of crap. So we should all fear that.
Yeah.
Every one of us
Yeah,
should
absolutely.
fear the lame duck session. I abhor the lame duck session on all accounts.
Yeah.
But that is what was going to happen. And as a matter of fact, be careful what you wish for, because the Democrats may want to push Kavanaugh out, and they might very well do that. However, the second pick for President Trump was a staunch, diehard, right-leaning Republican female. So it would be like, that would be a horrible thing for the side of the Democrats. So be careful what you wish for, because I thought Kavanaugh was soft anyway. But
they're not going to be able to, if they stop Kavanaugh, they're not going to be able to stop the next one with any sense of reason.
Not for 2 years.
No.
You just can't do it. So
This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the
guy
truth,
looks scared.
you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
he goes, I've never been part of a gang.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it.
Like your grandson.
You had no intention of protecting
pause
Dr.
it there.
Ford.
So you
Ooh,
knew
look at that face.
You knew about it.
It's like blurry.
You knew about it and you held it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, okay, when you get information about now they have like these allegations of gang rape,
Which
it's like, hold on a second.
the joke of it all, wasn't it?
It's
As a matter of fact, that discredits, unfortunately, to me, discredits Dr. Ford, who I believe more than likely is a victim of sexual assault. Do I believe that it's Judge Kavanagh? Maybe not. Me personally,
Yes.
I think probably not, but I believe that she was. I believe that she was a victim of some sort.
Yeah.
But this completely discredits her claims.
Yeah.
As a victim, she is now being delegitimized.
Yeah.
And it's a joke. And now it becomes a joke.
people have to understand that this information was held on to, and rather than encouraging a criminal investigation to actually punish someone who committed a sexual crime, they decided to put this in public hearings and circumvent the system that could actually punish the man who did these things.
Right.
Why is that? Why even today have no actual statements been made to law enforcement, no complaints filed, and no investigations done on the part of those claiming to be these victims? This is the problem.
Well,
This is a problem,
and
and this is exactly why he's lit up, because you held on to it. You didn't even tell us that there were these allegations. So do you really care about the victim? because you're withholding information from the rest of us just because you think that you can utilize this to your advantage to maintain your position of power.
What I say, quote, which is a unofficial quote that didn't actually happen. I don't believe I wasn't there. We got him.
Right.
And so I that's where I do have the problem. As far as reporting the crime, I will always wonder why victims don't report crimes. Although, hey, sometimes when you have your side window broken out at your house and somebody steals 2 pennies, sometimes you report it, sometimes you don't. This is not the same thing. This is something that supposedly caused some severe trauma, mental trauma, not physical, but mental trauma to a woman, which is greater, I think, because bones heal. But mental trauma to an individual that even at this point she could still make a complaint, but has not. I mean, to law enforcement. Because the FBI isn't going to do that. The FBI is not going to put Kavanaugh or another suspect in jail.
Right.
They're not going to do that. And Kavanaugh brought up the point that all they're going to do is the same thing. They're just going to listen to what you have to say, put it down. That's why I think witness statements are so hilarious for us.
Yeah.
We have to do them at accident scenes. I think they're ridiculous. It's like, hey, or domestic, like anything. It's like, well, this is what happened. Well, this is what happened.
Are we done with this Graham video?
Yeah. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do about this? Like, all I'm doing, you're telling me this happened, but I have no physical evidence. You're just telling me, so I'm just putting it down on my report. That's what the FBI does, the same thing.
Sorry.
Boy, Grassley, he is just one old.
Wow.
I'm just
inch of dust, isn't he?
Yeah,
wow.
It's literally his T-Rex is parked in a nice spot outside the Senate building. It's like,
he literally is not. He doesn't have hair, but he has a layer of dust upon his head. So that appears
he's
to be.
He's not going to pass away normally. He's just literally going to poof away into eternity.
Kind of dust away.
His seat is gone. There's a pile of dust in it.
It's going to be with a coughing fit too.
It's
That's how he's going to go.
Spoiler alert: he's going to sit in his chair and be like, "I don't feel so good," and then just it's gone.
No, even better. He's going to just start coughing and go, and he's just going to go. Yep, billow away.
Well. That's how we expected him to go.
Well, we know that's
So to round this up, because we have to, the FBI they don't have jurisdiction, first of all, to investigate this as a crime. Even they don't have jurisdiction. The federal government, and I'm telling you, people, you do not want a federal police department. But
oh my God, no!
That is not their job. Their job is to investigate a certain scope of federal crimes, and they are not to be meddling in a local claim of sexual assault, and
people, you do not want them to start doing that.
You don't want that.
If you talk about police state, that's
no, thank you. But maybe that's what people want. I don't know. Maybe certain people want that. I don't want that. No, thank you.
I thought about it.
So there are where this alleged assault happened, there is no statute of limitations on sexual assault crimes,
which is good.
At any point in this whole process, it could have been filed. Listen, she claims to have uncovered this, memory, as it were, in 2012. It's been 7 years that she could have filed charges.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to file charges. She doesn't have to file charges. That's her prerogative as a victim if she doesn't want to. But now to then go this route at this time, like she talks about. Well, I don't want to get distracted about this. Bottom line is the timing. I'm not a huge believer in coincidence. The timing is a little odd to me because he's already occupied the most highest levels of security clearance and influence or connectedness in this government already.
Yes.
So if the concern was someone like this shouldn't be in power, he's already been there.
Oh,
so
in an appellate court, you couldn't get.
So why now?
Yeah.
I'll just leave it. I'll just leave that there. The timing is suspect to me. Without taking anything away from her as a potential real victim of sexual assault crime, the timing of this, even if it's not on her doing, even if it's on the doing of those who have been handling her, because there's a lot of unanswered questions. Who paid for this polygraph test?
She didn't even know.
Where did she obtain counsel from? Is she paying for them or somebody else paying for them?
Right.
Who's advising? Who's administering this? Who's handling this?
To say,
I don't know.
And the thing is, to say that she has nothing to gain from this, if we're being genuine, that's not true at all. Because to say that she has nothing to gain from this is not true. Please don't say that. Because if you want to talk about the amount of money to be made in this situation, she will be a millionaire after this. So to say that also, but on the other hand, the other side of that, maybe if this was a real deal, maybe this is a way for her to kind of free herself from this mental like being bound mentally by this trauma. Maybe this would be a way to. So to say she has nothing to gain from this, not true. Because on one side, she will probably be rich from this, but on the other side, maybe if this was all true, this would be a very good way for her to get the justice that she desired without having to deal with it criminally in a court of law.
Yeah.
So who knows?
So the FBI, just to be clear, he has already had as extensive of a background investigation that is actually possible. When you get to the type of security clearance where you have access to nuclear codes, you have already undergone the most scrutiny possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no other better background investigation. People who are get the FBI to do an investigation. Okay, people, they already have 6 times.
Yeah.
Like that, he's already been looked at for every position in the federal government that he's held. They conducted another background investigation, including leading into this. Now, this new information, like if this is all new, the Senate already got a sworn statement from all the potential witnesses. The one witness that she says would have been there says she doesn't even know Kavanaugh.
Right.
Under penalty of felony.
Yeah.
And the guy that supposedly was with Kavanaugh says this didn't happen. It's not a thing under penalty of felony. So what the FBI is, all they're going to do is write down what they already said,
right,
and provide this form. Kavanaugh talked about it, the 302. They're going to provide it to the committee and say, this is what they said.
Yeah, this is what we found.
The job of the committee is to do what the FBI would be doing.
Yeah,
this is what Kavanaugh's point was yesterday. It was like, you are interviewing me.
Yeah.
Ask me what you want to ask me because
he said
I
that
have
to Feinstein very eloquently.
I have
angrily.
I have the same responsibility to tell the truth to you as I would to an FBI investigator. Yeah. Ask me. You'd be interviewed. You're interviewing me.
Yeah.
We're doing it right now.
You're doing
Ask
it now,
me
but
the questions.
You talking about the FBI doing it isn't answering any questions. So let's
get
get
this guy's
going.
Band-Aid.
Oh my gosh!
Stop it. You know what? It was Botox for him. That guy, I tell you.
All right, so I mean, we've been going. How long have we been going? An hour?
We've been going about an hour.
Yeah,
6,
I mean,
hour 10.
we're gonna put this whole thing up. I don't want a clip. I just let's just put the whole thing up today as like a Kavanaugh special.
Oh, it makes my life so much easier.
What are we gonna call?
Let's make his life hard.
we have some editing you got to do.
Well, and
Not
real
really.
quick, let's go to
because you didn't hit record for part of it.
Yeah, no kidding. But as we're live here in the Senate Judiciary Committee here, as they're voting on stuff on the chats. It's hilarious because still the sides have already been,
it doesn't matter what's being said.
It's gone up to 23,000.
Rest in peace,
people.
American democracy. Like
McCain is on his forehead. What the
abort
heck?
the baby killers.
McCain is on his
McCain is
forehead?
on his forehead. I have no idea
The
what that's
Band-Aid.
about.
Yeah, but
God, a woman behind.
Disrespectful.
God, a woman behind with a crew cut. I think the crew cut looks good on her. But anyway,
molesters are governing America.
that's and again, here we are, right?
Yeah, everybody just
are
picked their
evil.
sides.
Republicans are evil. Dems are weak. I don't believe in Lee.
Yeah.
You Democrats went down the rabbit hole. Like, how many wives does
dumb.
Hatch have?
Why are Republicans scared of an FBI investigation? We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
It's already been done.
Enough grandstanding. I will agree with you.
Step down.
These grandpa should step down. I kind of agree with that.
I definitely agree with that.
All right, so guys, if you watch this was sort of like we did a special before, like on Daniel Shaver,
Yeah.
We like called an emergency meeting to order, and we just covered it. Right? It was so hot.
You brought up the
It's
gavel.
so hot right now. And Kavanaugh, this whole thing is like captivating the nation. So we called a special meeting. We just put it out here, and just two guys talking from. Like, I don't know.
Cop point of view. I don't want
Guy
it to be.
just keeps commenting
Yes,
wrong
yes, we
emojis.
are cops, but we are legitimately two people. We bring our experience to the table, but we're looking
that's
at
what
this.
I'm saying is we're bringing experience that we have regarding proceedings,
right?
Court proceedings, that kind of things. The things that are not criminally, consistent, and the other things, So
Right.
yeah.
So if you guys enjoyed it, great. Normally, we're not like this serious, I guess, on our normal podcast. Off the Cuff podcast is normally like a, sort of like a disconnect from the cop world. We're off just hanging out, talking about things that are going on in our lives and in culture and society. So we talk about that. So give that a listen if you would. We'll put that in the description. Peace.